Since the start of this war, the battle lines have been drawn. This wasn't just a Russia versus Ukraine conflict. As the West came together, several countries stood together to take on Russia. And what has resulted in is a new definition of what the global order is. In our next report, we talk about that, how this war has changed things geopolitically and where India stands.
On one side are friends of Ukraine, like the United States, Canada, and other NATO partners who have strongly supported President Zelensky in his defense. Millions of dollars of aid, arms and ammunition have been pledged and sent to Ukraine by the NATO countries. The American president has been standing strongly by Ukraine, not only with aid, but also gestures and words.
What were the commitments
with Ukraine? I mean, you see this and you're dealing every day with Vladimir Putin. I mean, look at what he's done to these people. What does it make you think?
He's a butcher.
Today, Russia has strangled democracy, has sought to do so elsewhere, not only in its homeland. Under false claims of ethnic solidarity, it has invalidated neighboring nations. Putin has the gall to say he's denazifying Ukraine.
The United States has also pushed its allies in Europe to come out strongly in support of Ukraine. North Atlantic Treaty Organization countries, including Poland, have been cautious. Poland shares a border both with Russia and with Ukraine. Poland opened its doors to refugees from Ukraine, but when asked to send arms and ammunition, including MiG-29 fighter jets, Poland refused. Once part of the Soviet bloc, Poland has some inhibitions. United Kingdom has been cautious but more vocal and supportive than the European Union for Ukraine. Before the American president Joe Biden called for war crime trials once the slaughter of Ukrainian civilians in Bucha came to light, it was Boris Johnson who had, in his personal capacity, equated the horrors of Bucha to genocide.
I'm afraid when you look at what's happening in Bucha, the revelations that we're seeing from what Putin has done in Ukraine, which doesn't look far short of genocide, to me, it is no wonder that people are responding in the way that they are.
The UK has been at the forefront, along with the US, Canada and the European Union, in sending aid, arms and ammunition to Ukraine. To cripple Russian war funding, London issued severe sanctions on Russia and its oligarchs. The European Union has been measured in its approach, but strong nonetheless in its opposition to Russian President Vladimir Putin's war ambitions. If Ukraine falls, Brussels is well aware that it will make inroads for Russia to Central Europe. Germany and France have acted with caution. Europe depends on Russia and Ukraine for its bread. Russia is also its main energy supplier. European countries are dependent on Russia for gas, oil and coal to a tune of approximately $5 million to $1 billion every day. Severe sanctions by the European Union on Russia and aid to Ukraine has not helped. For oil and gas, they still need Moscow. Faced with severe criticism by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, European Union has promised to find alternate suppliers for its oil and gas needs. Germany for the first time struck a deal with Qatar and OPEC countries. It also suspended the new Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline. Similarly, the European Union and the United States inked a deal with respect to natural gas. On the other side of the spectrum stand friends of Russia. China has been swift to come to Russia's aid. Its bilateral trade with Russia surged in the first quarter of the year by 28% compared to the previous year. China is one of the biggest markets for Russian oil, gas and coal after Europe. When the call was given to throw Russia out of the UNHRC, China voted against it along with 8 other Asian countries.
We should reject the Cold War mentality.
oppose unilateralism, and say no to group politics and bloc confrontation. We should stay committed to taking the legitimate security concerns of all countries seriously, uphold the principle of indivisible security, build a balanced, effective and sustainable security architecture.
India, a traditional strategic partner of Russia, has remained neutral on the global platform. India was criticized for abstaining from voting when Russia was removed from the UNHRC. India has bought more than twice as much crude oil from Russia in the 2 months since the Russia-Ukraine conflict as it did in the whole of 2021.
I noticed you refer to oil purchases. If you are looking at energy purchases from Russia, I would suggest that your attention should be focused on Europe, which probably we do buy some energy which is necessary for our energy security, but I suspect, looking at the figures, probably our total purchases for the month would be less than what Europe does in an afternoon.
Another Asian giant, Japan, has been cautious in its approach. It joined the world in condemning Russia and has sent aid to Ukraine. But its positioning between the two superpowers makes it watchful and lean more towards safe neutrality camp than the aggressive support for Kiev. Bureau Report, India Today.